I'd like to hope that at least by we're in May 26th here. I'd say by the end of the first week of June, everybody should have by then applied to speak at least one of the places that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. So that is um, Disrupt HR, 1 Million Cups, uh, Ignite. There's all kinds of places out there. The Moth, and just your goal is two speaking opportunities a week, two stages a week. So how can you get closer to that? Certainly, Speakers Speak Live is on the hit list for being there, and then videos. Show of hands. Did anybody send any videos on LinkedIn over the past 2 weeks? Tanya did. Awesome. Tanya, would you come off mute and just share your experience? What happened when you sent a selfie video somewhere?
I find that after a group like this, sometimes I think, oh, I really want to connect with, I want to say, so for instance, National Speakers Association SoCal had a session and a guest speaker, and they said, oh, who would like to have me look at their whatever and give you feedback? And one person raised her hand, and it was kind of uncomfortable because she was really getting feedback. And so afterwards, ah, you were so brave. And I'm so proud of how you stood up for all of us and went and said yes, which is an example of what we should all do. You are excellent and you're moving forward in your career. And I'm so proud to be a part of that. So, and then she sent one back and said, oh, you're right. It was so nerve wracking, but that just means so much that you took the time to say that to me. Okay, I didn't get any work out of it, but I made a nice connection.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Did she send a video in reply or
She
did
did. She said,
good?
oh, that's
Yes,
so
that's
cool. She said, oh, that's so cool. And then sent the video.
Oh, that is so awesome. So that's what you can expect is that you're not going to just get a reply. In most cases, people are going to reply with a video if they know how to do it. And if they don't, they might say, wow, nobody's ever sent a video to me on LinkedIn. How'd you do that? Well, I'd be happy to get on a Zoom call with you and walk you through the steps. Would that be of interest to you? I mean, whatever it takes to get these people on a one-to-one Zoom call and you become an educational resource. That is so huge. So congrats to you. That was awesome. I really do not underestimate the power of those selfie videos. They are so awesome. And if you can get into it takes a while to get into a habit of doing that. I actually have an iPad with a Zoom, one of these boom holders, so I can swing it around, so I can have a conversation with somebody, and then right after I'm done, I can just go right to that and go to LinkedIn, and it's all set up, and I just record right through there. So you can come up with some kind of system that makes it really easy for you to send one of those videos. I highly recommend it because they do work, and you will always be remembered. If nothing else, I mean, it could absolutely lead to more. So great job, Tanya. So everyone, I believe everyone ran that deep research report. I just got the one from Amy this morning. Well done, Amy. That was sure enlightening, wasn't it? I just saw the one just before I fired up the Zoom meeting here, but yeah, that the Claude system is really producing some good feedback there. It's awesome to see. I might have to sign up for that one myself. So and then let's see your revised topic. Those are all developing. And then we had the from Friday, the generating your keyword phrase list for your video or article content production. So um, that is what I'd like to open with. I'd like to hear from each of you. What are your top keyword phrases that if you're for this week, because that is going to be on your agenda, is to start creating content. This is an amazing. Here we are in May, and the first couple of weeks of June. There's like a little window here where people before the summer takes off, they're making their final bookings for any if there's an August speaking opportunity, they're still out there trying to fill those spots last minute. They'll have people who all of a sudden get a long-term illness and they can't be speakers. So this is a time of the year when they're out trying to replace positions. People are looking for MCs because they forgot to do that. They got all their speakers lined up and, oh, well, no, I'm not going to MC that. I need to find an MC. Oh, no. So there's this little window of about 2 to 3 weeks. And if you can get some content in front of the eyes of people who are hiring speakers, you could get a call just from your content. I actually had someone, it was from Speakers Speak Live, and I remember there was this debate in the Speakers Speak group on Facebook for about 2 weeks. There was this debate that somebody posted. We were talking about content, and somebody came on and said nobody has ever gotten a speaking gig directly from content that they've written on LinkedIn. And I just kind of paused, and Greg Jameson came on. And Greg is a good friend of mine. We're ski buddies. He lives here in Colorado, and he's one of the top AI architects in the whole world. And he just happens to be right here in Colorado. So we're frequently conversing and playing around with tools and everything. But anyway, so he came on and he says, well, for the past 3 years, I've been speaking on average twice a week. And every single one of those opportunities has either come from word of mouth or from content that I've posted. Because he's a serial poster. I mean, this guy has one, two, and sometimes three blog posts a week. And they all go to LinkedIn. They all get converted through AI to video and repurposed in different ways. And we were actually on a chairlift and we were talking one time and he had an idea for a blog post and he pressed the button on his microphone and he sent a message to his AI virtual assistant to create content for a blog post for whatever phrase it was that we were talking about. And by the time we got to the car, it was already written and posted, all done by AI. And he's like, "Yeah, look at that." So, I mean, there are ways to automate all of this stuff once you get to a high level of understanding about what your topics are, your speech content, how that can be developed. But now is the starting time, the starting point. This is a perfect time. So I just thought that we'd kick this off, this next part, with just kind of going around and just talk a little bit about what you discovered about your keyword phrases and a few that really stood out that if you had to pick, which you shouldn't say had to pick, that you will pick over the next couple of days here to start creating content for. What is the one content that you are going to produce over the next, we'll give you 2 weeks. So we'll just have this part of the assignment. What is that one piece of content based on your keyword research? So let's go, since Amy, you just sent that to me this morning. Let's just start with you. And even though I haven't been able to look at the second one, I only saw your original write-up. So go ahead and tell us your experience about your keyword progress.
Okay, I love AI and I hate AI at the same time. That's probably like the hard Gen Xer in me, right? Although my Gen Z daughters both think it's cheating still, and it's not cheat. I think a year ago people would say it was cheating, and I think now people realize either get on board or get off the train. You're going to get run over. Um, so that said, I really am gravitating toward that initial one that I sent you about mindful timeouts. And I love, like I said in the email, like I loved your spin and title on that. When I did my 100 word phrases, the top one came out, it was just a generic motivational speech with 450,000 searches. Then it was overcoming adversity. So both of those would be under the topic of resilience. Number three, how to deal with burnout. That was 301,000. And then it generic resilience keynote. So they're all basically the same. The motivational speech one, again, not so specific. That was 450,000. That's a big difference. And then the fourth one with resilience as a keynote goes down by almost half to that.
Okay.
And
So
then burnout recovery, how to stop being a perfectionist. I really feel if I use the one, I don't know, my gut's telling me has the best draw and the ability to branch out into different and tailor it to different audiences is that one strategic timeouts, the hidden productivity tool that fuels creativity, innovation, and sustainable performance. That's the one I'm really gravitating toward.
good. Oh, I love it.
Mhm.
Awesome. Okay. Any questions for Amy? How's that sound? I mean, would you read it if she was to create some content around that topic? Go ahead, Tanya.
It's such an important topic, and but it's so broad. Are you? It's like you're shooting for everyone. Do you want everyone?
You know, what I don't want, Tanya, and I appreciate that question, and I agree with you. What I don't want is to be pigeonholed. I think when, as the mother, like my daughter, who will be 21 on Monday, had stage 4 high risk cancer when she was 4 years old and 5 years old. And we spent over 300 nights in the hospital, 18 months in treatment. She had a 50-50 chance of survival. It was crazy. And then I should have taken a big time out after her illness, but everybody said to me, "You must be so happy it's over." But it was just beginning. But as a mother, I felt extreme guilt taking care of myself when my 5 and 7-year-old had been through so much. And my husband jumped back into work and nobody gave me permission to take a time out. And that wound up costing me in the end friendships, my marriage, my mental health just went down and down and down. So it took my husband and an unexpected divorce to really make me do what I should have done years ago. So, to answer your question, I don't want to be pigeonholed into like only, mother venues or kids with cancer venues because there's so much that's universal in my experience, even though people don't have a kid with cancer, they have kids. Even though their husband not have left them, they understand what it's like when your mental health is suffering and it puts a strain on every aspect of your life. So I will, after you said that, maybe tailor it a little bit at a better angle so it doesn't sound like it's too much.
Great. Any other comments for Amy? So I'd like to challenge you to think in numbers. Instead of this becoming one gigantic article on one uh, such a broad topic that it doesn't pigeonhole you, to think more in higher numbers. Like you could have 10 different primary focuses of content so you don't get pigeonholed into any one. And then under each of those 10, you're going to have potentially 200 different articles or videos or a combination of the two or both, whatever it is. But every one of them would be shorter in duration, focusing on a micro subtopic so that the cumulative of all of them fits into one of those buckets that you're focusing on at any particular time. So that's why I had everybody try for 100 keyword phrases because what you'll see is commonalities in those keyword phrases where you can say, oh, well, that's really related to this one. You start categorizing all of these keyword phrases into buckets. And now you have 10, 15, 20 subtopics under that primary topic. This is how content builds over time. So that would be your next step with all this is try to take all those keyword phrases, lump them into buckets, and then approach your broad, I don't want to be pigeonholed into anything, into these large buckets, but then build your inventory of of content for each of these giant buckets because they're just in what you said. Go back and listen to your recording. There's like 10 different articles right there that you
I
could,
so I totally understand what you're saying as a writer, right? Your message
yeah,
when you write a piece is completely watered down if you're trying to touch on everything. I totally understand what you're saying. Where I struggle when we're talking about, potential speaking opportunities is when I narrow it way down. I and you're the pro, not me. But when I narrow it way down, I'm like, who the heck's gonna bite on that? So I have a Substack, and every week I post something, and it's just so fascinating to me what people really gravitate toward. And when I put in all the terms and websites and all that you told me to, what ChatGPT did, and this is without the upgrade, but what ChatGPT did was really interesting because it took some of my Substack posts that had generated a lot of feedback and used those as potential speeches, which I thought was super cool. I just was, again, you're the boss, not me. I'm just super like who bites on something that talks about the power of like, going for a walk. I don't know. Maybe they do. It just seems very niche.
absolutely, there are people that will gravitate toward that. Absolutely. You know, I always come back to, I can't remember who it was, but I remember I was sitting on one of it was after COVID when Tony Robbins had 400,000 people on a virtual call. And it was a multi-day thing. They did this for like 2 or 3 days. And one of the speakers on there said, and he used the screen as an example, and he kind of did an outline. He said, "This is the whole world, this screen, and to really make your mark as a speaker, you don't have to be this giant screen to everybody. All you need is a little dot, and you just kind of wrote a little dot in there. If you can find what that dot is, the one topic that is most important to you, then and become the go-to person for that, you'll have all these branches that stem from that, but you're still known as that person. So that's how all this interrelates. You can write all the content you want as long as you're tying it back to your main label, which we're going to talk about in just a second here. So this is a really good example to follow because we're going to be digging more into this. So keep that thought, hold on to it, let it gel a little bit, and we're going to go into the rest of our content. 'Cause I think some of these questions are going to be answered there. So, all right.